Hamna, I just want to talk to you a little about your experience. Now, you were previously in the United States, you were finishing your degree, and you were to graduate in 2020. But having this happen, how has that disrupted your program so far?
It's been unfortunate to say the least because, like you said, I was set to graduate in May 2020. And then in March 2020, I was encouraged to go back home. And for me, home is not the United States. Home for me is Pakistan. So that was a huge commitment for me to come back home, pack everything I have. And I don't know when I'll be going back. So definitely disrupted my entire life in a way.
Right.
Most of my classes, like Mr. Farooq said, are online now. They're on Zoom, which has its pros and cons because there is a time difference. I'm in Pakistan. Those classes are being held in the United States. So those classes might be in the morning in the United States, but for me, that's night. So my day starts at night and ends in early morning. So of course, this has disrupted my whole lifestyle.
Right. I can imagine how that would be such a huge change, not just the time difference, but also the fact that, now you're remotely interacting with all your teachers and professors and students. Just take me through the learning aspect of that, especially when we're talking about whether it's not comparative to what it was before, but how much do you feel like you're absorbing given the entire anxiety that surrounds the situation, and also how this has become now a remote way of interacting?
I think that's a great question. For me personally, it is hard to learn online because I am taking language classes. So when you're in a language class, you need to be in class to communicate in that language with other people. So that doesn't translate through a Zoom call.
Right.
I am writing a thesis, but most of my books are in the United States in my college's library. So of course it has been a rough transition. Luckily for me, and I know for a lot of my friends who are in different liberal arts colleges around the United States, our colleges have been flexible in the way that if I can't attend a class, my professors will be flexible and ask me to attend some other time, which depends on, of course, which time zone I am in. But still, like for me personally, I haven't been able to absorb a lot because when it comes to learning, I feel like it should be in person. There's a lot that you gain when you're in person than when you're on Zoom. And also a lot of people don't have access to the internet 24/7. So as a result, they're missing out on this important learning. So for me, I would say it's 50-50%. Like I'm not disappointed with it because I know my school's trying its best. But at the same time, I am not absorbing as much as I used to.
Right. That point where you're talking about the lack of internet access, how problematic was this, especially for students in the United States where there is a greater coverage of broadband services? How problematic was that for your peers? Did you witness occasions in which this was put out as a frequent complaint?
Even with students who live in the United States, but they live in more, I would say, not as advantaged areas, they didn't have access to internet 24/7. And even just to add on to this point, there are lots of people who can't take classes at home because of their family structure.
Right.
So there might be one laptop in the family and everyone has to use that laptop. Or you might be living in a one-bedroom house. So as a result, you can't really quietly communicate with the entire class.